Alright. What is that? I do not know. How does my audio sound? I should make my audio in an area where it's actually going to be loud. That's okay. Whatever, it doesn't really matter. 1, 2, 3. Hi everyone! I'm Cass and welcome back to our playthrough of Dragon Age the Veilguard. Let's just jump right back in. This is our rook, Arana Aldweir, and we have been tasked to go check in with Nev. But first, let's see what this is here. Introduction to the Lighthouse. Once, the lighthouse was a place of learning, with tools to study the secret workings of great magic. When Solus rebelled against those who called themselves our gods, the lighthouse became his center of operations, with tools to study the best ways to free ourselves from the tyranny of the Avenuris. You are safe here, both those of flesh and those of fade. Any who wish to help are welcome. The magic of the lighthouse will provide you for your needs, see to your comfort, and even help you understand different tongues for those who escaped here from distant parts of the Empire. Should you have any other needs, ask for the slow arrow, and I will help. Felasan. You know what? Why don't we go ahead and read the codexes we have? We have nothing for elven people, nothing Grey Wardens, nothing Morn Watch, nothing for dwarves, nothing for the crows. For the Shadow Dragons, we have On to Venture Templars. When one mentions the Templar Order, you no doubt picture the armored members of the Southern Chantry. These Templars are trained to combat uncontrolled magic, blood magic, and abominations with the goal of protecting people, including mages themselves, from the most violent manifestations of magical power. However, they also embody the Southern Chantry's control over mages and enforce many of its strict rules and regulations over magic in general. In addition to combat training, these Templars ingest lyrium. This mineral, usually used by mages for enchantments and rituals, grants Templars the ability to resist and dispel magic. The fact that it is also addictive, chaining them to the Chantry and resulting in paranoia, obsession, and ultimately dementia, is often swept under the rug. Yes, we've all heard about that dirty little secret. As you may have surmised by my use of Southern Chantry, this is not the case in the Tevinter Imperium. In Tevinter, we know that magic can only serve if it is allowed to flourish. We do not suppress talent, we nurture it. That is not to say that we ignore the dangers of magic and what it might allow those with violent intent, if not... Let me reread that line. That is not to say that we ignore the dangers of magic and what it might allow those with violent intent, if not combated. As in the South, our Templars are trained to prevent the excess of blood magic and to subdue demons as well as those inflicted by possession. But our Templars do not take lyrium. They do not enforce unnecessary regulations. They are not given power over mages, but follow the lead of our most esteemed magisterium. They serve the Chantry and the people of the Imperium. I must admit, I rather prefer our way of doing things. From a letter written by Lythesea Pallas, living in a border town in the Tevinter Imperium, to a cousin in Orlais, 915 Dragon. We have nothing from the Lords of Fortune. Oh, we have a bunch here. Okay, if you would like to skip the reading of a bunch of codexes, I'm going to put a thing here. Sweet. I think I'm pointing at the right place. If I'm not, yeah. It's like that way. In the blank space. This zone. The Anderfels. The Anderfels are a land of shocking extremes. It is the most desolate place in all the world, for 2 blights have left great expanses of the steppes so completely devoid of life that corpses cannot even decay there. No insect or grub will ever reach them. It is a land filled with wonders like the Murdane, with its gigantic white statue of Our Lady carved into its face, her hands outstretched and bearing an eternal flame, or Weishaupt Fortress, with its walls of living rock towering over the desolate plains below. The Anders, too, are people of extremes, the most devout priests and the most deadly soldiers, the poorest nation in the world, and the most feared. From In Pursuit of Knowledge, The Travels of a Chantry Scholar, by Brother Genetivi. Andraste, Bride of the Maker. There was once a tiny fishing village on the waking sea that was set upon by the Tevinter Imperium, which enslaved the villagers to be sold in the markets of Minrathous, leaving behind only the old and the infirm. One of the captives was the child Andraste. She was raised in slavery in a foreign land. She escaped, then made a long and treacherous journey back to the homeland alone. She rose from nothing to be the wife of an Alamari warlord. Each day she sang to the gods, asking them to help her people who remained slaves in Tevinter. The false gods of the mountains and the winds did not answer her, but the true God did. The Maker spoke. He showed her all the works of his hands, the Fade, the world, and all the creatures therein. He showed her how men had forgotten him, lavishing devotion upon mute idols and demons, and how he left them to their fate. But her voice had reached him, and so captivated him that he offered her a place at his side, that she might rule all of creation. But Andraste would not forsake her people. She begged the Maker to return, to save his children from the cruelty of the Imperium. Reluctantly, the Maker agreed to give man another chance. Andraste went back to her husband, Maferath, and told him all that the Maker had revealed to her. Together they rallied the Alamari and marched forth against the mage lords of the Imperium, and the Maker was with them. The Maker's sword was creation itself, fire and flood, famine and earthquake. Everywhere they went, Andraste sang to the people of the Maker, and they heard her. The ranks of Andraste's followers grew until they were a vast tide washing over the Imperium. And when Maferath saw that the people loved Andraste and not him, a worm grew within his heart, gnawing upon it. At last the armies of Andraste and Maferath stood before the very gates of Minrathous, but Andraste was not with them, for Maferath had schemed in secret to hand Andraste over to the Tevinter. For this, the Archon would give Maferath all the lands to the south of the Waking Sea. And so, before all the armies of the Alamari and of Tevinter, Andraste was tied to a stake and burned, while her earthly husband turned his armies aside and did nothing, for his heart had been devoured. But as he watched the pyre, the Archon softened. He took pity on Andraste, and drew his sword, and granted her the mercy of a quick death. The Maker wept for his beloved, cursed Maferath, cursed mankind for their betrayal, and turned once again from creation, taking only Andraste with him. And Our Lady still sits at his side, where she still urges him to take pity on his children. From the Sermons of Justinia II. Andrastianism is very, very, very heavily influenced by Judeo-Christian influence, if you couldn't tell, and I grew up very, very much like in the Southern Baptist tradition, and yeah, I mean this feels like straight out of Sunday school, except that it's fantasy. Like it feels straight out of Sunday school, which is really interesting that they just kind of retrofitted the Judeo-Christian like Bible, because Andraste is kind of fitting a few different roles. Antiva. In the rest of the civilized world, it is a common belief that Antiva has no king. I assure you, gentle readers, that this is untrue. The line of kings in Antiva has remained unbroken for 2,500 years. It is simply that nobody pays any attention to them whatsoever. In truth, the nation is ruled by a collection of merchant princes. They're not princes in the literal sense, but heads of banks, trading companies, and vineyards. Their power is conferred strictly by wealth. But Antiva is not primarily renowned for its peculiar form of government, nor for its admittedly unparalleled wines. Antiva is known for the House of Crows. Since Antivans are well known for being good at everything but fighting, it is more than a little ironic that Antiva possesses the most deadly assassins in the world. Their fame is such that Antiva keeps no standing army. No king is willing to order his troops to assault her borders, and no general is mad enough to lead such an invasion. The attack would likely succeed, but its leaders would not see the day. From In Pursuit of Knowledge, The Travels of a Chantry Scholar by Brother Genetivi. Arlathan, Part 1. Before the ages were named or numbered, our people were glorious and eternal and never changing. Like the great oak tree, they were constant in their traditions, strong in their roots, and ever reaching for the sky. They felt no need to rush when life was endless. They worshipped their gods for months at a time. Decisions came after decades of debate, and an introduction could last for years. From time to time, our ancestors would drift into centuries-long slumber, but this was not death, for we know they wandered the fade in dreams. In those ages, our people called all the land Elvenon, which in the old language means place of our people, and in the center of the world stood the great city Arlathan, a place of knowledge and debate, where the best of the ancient elves would go to trade knowledge, greet old friends, and settle disputes that had gone on for millennia. But while our ancestors were caught up in the forever cycle of ages, drifting through life at what we today would consider an intolerable pace, the world outside the lush forests and ancient trees was changing. The humans first arrived from Parvalan to the north. Called Shimlin, or quicklings, by the ancients, the humans were pitiful creatures whose lives blinked by in an instant. When they first met the elves, the humans were brash and warlike, quick to anger and quicker to fight, with no patience for the unhurried pace of elven diplomacy. But the humans brought worse things than war with them. Our ancestors proved susceptible to human diseases, and for the first time in history, elves died of natural causes. What's more, those elves who spent time bartering and negotiating with humans found themselves aging, tainted by the humans' brash and impatient lives. Many believed that the ancient gods had judged them unworthy of their long lives and cast them down among the quicklings. Our ancestors came to look upon the humans as parasites, which I understand is similar to the way humans see our people in the cities. The ancient elves immediately moved to close Elvenon off from the humans, for fear that this quickening effect would crumble the civilization. From the fall of Arlathan, told by Gisarel, keeper of the Ralafarin clan of the Dalish elves. Arlathan, Part 2. You asked what happened to Arlathan. Sadly, we do not know. Even those of us who keep the ancient lore have no record of what truly happened. What we have are accounts of the days before the fall, and a fable of the whims of the gods. The human world was changing, even as the elves slept. Clans and tribes gave way to a powerful empire called Tevinter, which, and for what reason we do not know, moved to conquer Elvenon. When they breached the great city of Arlathan, our people, fearful of disease and loss of immortality, chose to flee rather than fight. With magic, demons, and even dragons at their behest, the Tevinter Imperium marched easily through Arlathan, destroying homes and galleries and amphitheaters that had stood for ages. Our people were corralled as slaves, and human contact quickened their veins until every captured elf turned mortal. The elves called to their ancient gods, but there was no answer. As to why the gods didn't answer, our people felt only a legend. Our people left only a legend. They say that Finharel, the Dread Wolf and Lord of Tricksters, approached the ancient gods of good and evil, and proposed a truce. The gods of good would remove themselves to heaven, and the lords of evil would exile themselves to the abyss, neither group ever again to enter the other lands. But the gods did not know that Finharel had planned to betray them, and by the time they realized the Dread Wolf's treachery, they were sealed in their respective realms, never again to interact with the mortal world. It is a fable, to be sure, but those elves who traveled beyond claim that Finharel still roams the world of dreams, keeping watch over the gods lest they escape from their prison. Whatever the case, Arlathan has fallen to the very humans our people had once considered mere pests. It is said that the Tevinter Magisters used their great destructive power to force the very ground to swallow Arlathan whole, destroying aeons of collected knowledge, culture, and art, the whole of elven lore left only to memory. From The Fall of Arlathan, as told by Gis Harel, keeper of the Ralifaren clan of the Dalish Elves. Beyond Veil, Spirits and Demons. It is challenging enough for the casual observer to tell the difference between the Fade and the creatures that live within it, let alone between one type of spirit and another. In truth, there is little that distinguishes them, even for the most astute mages. Since spirits are not physical entities and are therefore not restricted to recognizable forms, or even having a form at all, one can never tell for certain what is alive and what is merely a part of the scenery. It is therefore advisable for the inexperienced researcher to greet all objects he encounters. Typically, we misuse the term spirit to refer only to the benign, or at least less malevolent, creatures of the Fade. But in truth, all the denizens of the realm beyond the veil are spirits. As the Chant of Light notes, everything within the Fade is a mimicry of our own world, a poor imitation, for the spirits do not remotely understand what they are copying. It is no surprise that much of the Fade appears like a manuscript, translated from Tevinter into Orlesian and back again by drunken initiates. In general, spirits are not complex, or rather, they are not complex as we understand such things. Each one seizes upon a single facet of human experience: rage, hunger, compassion, hope, etc. This one idea becomes their identity. We classify as demons those spirits who identify themselves with darker human emotions and ideas. The most common and weakest form of demon one encounters in the Fade is the rage demon. They are much like perpetually boiling kettles, for they exist only to vent hatred, but rarely have an object to hate. Somewhat above these are the hunger demons, who do little but eat or attempt to eat everything they encounter, including other demons. This is rarely successful. Then there are the sloth demons. These are the first intelligent creatures one typically finds in the Fade. They are dangerous only on those rare occasions that they can be induced to get up and do harm. Desired demons are far more clever and far more powerful, using all forms of bribery to induce mortals into their realms: wealth, love, vengeance, whatever lies close to your heart. The most powerful demons yet encountered are the pride demons, perhaps because they, among all their kind, most resemble men. From Beyond the Veil, Spirits and Demons, by Enchanter Mirjamel. I'm also curious, they don't mention despair demons, which were not like in early Dragon Age, but did exist in Inquisition. So I'm curious here. The Crows and Queen Madrigal. The first crow refused to speak, even when we put hot coals to the soles of his feet and peeled the skin off his face and hands with a paring knife. He opted instead to chew through his own tongue and choke to death on the blood. The second captive repeated what we already knew. Queen Madrigal went on a hunt and did not appear for the evening's festivities. Her body was later found with 4 steel swords through the chest. I asked what he knew about one of the 4 swords being a replica of Hessarian's Sword of Mercy. He had not heard about that, or at least claimed as much. He later died on the rack, smiling slightly. The third crow must have realized he would not leave the dungeon alive. He seemed to hope that by angering Master Fiore, he would earn himself a quick death. The crow tried our patience with pithy comments while Master Fiore was trying to work. At one point he made a remark about Fiore's mother, which I shall not repeat here. I will admit to feeling admiration for his ability to retain a capacity for coherent speech, and even some wit while under extreme duress. Amid all his useless chatter, the third crow did raise an important point. His guild has a reputation to uphold. They are ruthless, efficient, and discreet. How would they maintain such notoriety if agents routinely revealed the names of employers with something as banal as torture? This gave me pause. I called for a halt to the session. After some thought, I stabbed the man through the heart and set the 4th and 5th crow captives free. If there is a confession to be extracted, it will not be done with pain. I recommend we abandon this course of action. A report by Captain Aristide, tasked with investigating the assassination of Queen Madrigal of Antiva. The Dalish Elves. I took the road north from Valrio towards Navarra with a merchant caravan. A scant 2 days past the Orlesian border, we were beset by bandits. They struck without warning from cover of the trees, hammering our wagon with arrows, killing most of the caravan guards instantly. The few who survived the arrow storm drew their blades and charged into the trees after our attackers. We heard screams muffled by the forest, and then nothing more of those men. After a long silence, the bandits appeared, elves covered in tattoos and dressed in hides. They looted all the supplies and valuables they could carry from the merchants and disappeared back into the trees. These, I was informed later, were the Dalish, the wild elves who lurk in the wilderness on the fringes of settled lands, preying upon travelers and isolated farmers. These wild elves have reverted to the worship of their false gods and are rumored to practice their own form of magic, rejecting all human society. From In Pursuit of Knowledge, The Travels of a Chantry Scholar by Brother Genetivi. It's very interesting. With the exception of Origins, all of the Dalish we come to know in Dragon Age are pretty congenial. And even in Origins, it's not that they're like horribly hostile. Interesting. My gosh, we have 20 more to go. It's okay. We're gonna read these again. If you are in the middle of this and you realize you do not want to read all of this, I'm gonna put another timestamp of when to skip to, because this is a lot. The Deep Roads. There isn't a dwarf alive who remembers the Deep Roads as they once were. They were the network of tunnels that joined the Tigers together. To be honest, it isn't even right to give them such a simple term as tunnels. They are works of art, with centuries of planning demonstrated in the geometry of their walls, with the statues of the paragons that watch over travelers, with the flow of lava that keeps the Deep Roads lit and warm. The cloud gazers up on the surface talk of the old imperial highway, built by the magisters of old, a raised walkway that crossed thousands of miles, something that could only have been built by magic. Perhaps it is comparable to the Deep Roads, although we dwarves didn't need magic. I suppose it doesn't matter now anymore. The Darkspawn rule the Deep Roads now. When Orzammar sealed off the entrances to the Deep Roads, abandoning everything that lay out there, we handed over the kingdom that was to those black bastards forever. To think that there are genlocks crawling over Bonamar now, tearing down our statues and defiling our greatest works. Corruption covers everything we built out there. Every dwarf who goes out and comes back says that it gets worse with each passing year. The foulness spreads a little further. And the cloud gazers think the Darkspawn are gone just because they aren't spilling out onto the surface. Huh. One day, when Orzammar is gone for good, they'll find out differently. Those Darkspawn won't have anywhere else to go but up, and they'll do it. The surface folk will have themselves a blight that will never end. Transcript of a conversation with a member of the Dwarven Mining Caste, 890, Blessed. Oh, I just popped the skull off my ring. That sucks. Oh well. I can super glue it back on. Sad. Alright. The Fade. The study of the Fade is as old as humankind. For so long as men have dreamed, we have walked its twisting path, sometimes catching a glimpse of the city at its heart, always as close as our own thoughts, but impossibly separated from our world. The Tevinter Imperium once spent vast fortunes of gold, lyrium, and human slaves in an effort to map the terrain of the Fade, an ultimately futile endeavor. Although portions of it belong to powerful spirits, all of the Fade is in constant flux. The Imperium succeeded in finding the disparate and ever-shifting realms of a dozen demon lords, as well as cataloging a few hundred types of spirits, before they were forced to abandon the project. The relationship of dreamers to the Fade is complex. Even when entering the Fade through the use of lyrium, mortals are not able to control or affect it. The spirits who dwell there, however, can, and as the Chantry teaches us, the great flaw of the spirits is that they have neither imagination nor ambition. They create what they see through their sleeping visitors, building elaborate copies of our cities, peoples, and events, which, like the reflections in a mirror, ultimately lack context or life of their own. Even the most powerful demons merely plagiarize the worst thoughts and fears of mortals, and build their realms with no other ambition than to taste life. From Tranquillity Tranquility and the Role of the Fade in Human Culture by First Enchanter Josephus. Finn-Harel, the Dread Wolf. There is precious little we know about Finn-Harel, for they say he did not care for our people. Elgar'nan and Mithal created the world as we know it. Andruil taught us the ways of the hunter. Silaise and June gave us fire and crafting, but Finn-Harel kept to himself and plotted the betrayal of all the gods. And after the destruction of Arlathan, when the gods could no longer hear our prayers, it is said that Finn-Harel spent centuries in a far corner of the earth, giggling madly and hugging himself in glee. The legends say that before the fall of Arlathan, the gods we know and revere fought an endless war with others of their kind. There is not a Haren among us who remembers these names. Only in dreams do we hear the whispers of the names Geldarin and Dernathal and Anaris. For they are the forgotten ones, the gods of terror and malice, spite and pestilence. In ancient times, only Finn-Harel could walk without fear among both our gods and the Forgotten Ones. For although he is kin to the gods of the people, the Forgotten Ones knew of his cunning ways, and saw him as one of their own. And that is how Finn-Harel tricked them. Our gods saw him as brother, and they trusted him when he said that they must keep to the heavens while he arranged a truce. And the Forgotten Ones trusted him also, when he said he would arrange for the defeat of our gods. If only the Forgotten Ones would have returned to the abyss for a time. They trusted Finn-Harel, and they were all of them betrayed. And Finn-Harel sealed them away so they could never again walk among the people. From The Tale of Finn-Harel Triumph, as told by Gisarel, keeper of the Ralafaran clan of Dalish Elves. And they were all of them betrayed. That's a line from something. I don't know what that is. Cut that. Ferelden culture. The Fereldans are a puzzle. As a people, they are one bad day away from reverting to barbarism. They repelled invasions from Deventer during the height of the Imperium with nothing but dogs and their own obstinate disposition. They are the coarse, willful, dirty, disorganized people who somehow gave rise to our prophet, ushered in an era of enlightenment, and toppled the greatest empire in history. There are few things you can assume safely in dealing with these people. First, they value loyalty above all things, beyond wealth, beyond power, beyond reason. Second, although they have nothing in their entire country which you are likely to think at all remarkable, they are extremely proud of their accomplishments. Third, if you insult their dogs, they are likely to declare war. And finally, the surest sign that you have underestimated the Fereldans is that you think you have come to understand them. Empress Celine I of Orlais, in a letter to her newly appointed ambassador to Dinnerim. I think that's really funny, given that if you began as I did in Dragon Age, your first knowledge of most of the world of Thedas is Ferelden, with origins. So that's quite delightful, actually. And also, your first knowledge would be of the Grey Wardens. The Grey Wardens. The Blight had ravaged the land for months. The armies of the great kings amassed for one last stand. As the sun burst through the clouds that boiled and churned in the dark sky, it illuminated a vast seething horde of darkspawn with the archdemon at its head. It was then, when courage seemed to fail and all lost to death and despair, that the Grey Wardens came. They arrived with the beating of wings like mighty war drums and stood before the armies of men. The great wardens, grim and fearless, marched forth, ever between men and their encroaching darkspawn. They formed a shield of their own bodies, and held that line until the archdemon was dead, and the last darkspawn lay trampled in the dirt. Then, demanding neither reward nor recognition for their sacrifice, the Grey Wardens departed. When the clouds rolled back, and the sun shone full upon the blighted ground, the great kings knew that they had lost no men, that none of their blood had been spilled. This is a tale about no battle the Grey Wardens have fought, and yet about all of them. They have always defended us from the Darkspawn, taking losses so we do not have to. Adaptation of a Grey Warden legend. The tale outlined above is widely told, although subject to regional variations. Free marchers might substitute great kings for titles bestowed in their given city-states. In Ferelden, the implied army of wardens is sometimes replaced with two, representative of the national heroes who fought and defeated the archdemon at Denerim during the Fifth Blight. The beating of wings is a reference to the griffins the wardens are said to have ridden into battle. Although griffins went extinct long before the recent blight, they still appear in numerous stories, sometimes serving as a metaphor for the warden's unrestrained courage, but also employed to please an eager audience. From Tales of the Wardens by Sister Manon. Majestic bastards. I remember the second last one. I wouldn't get closer than 60 feet, double wingspan. That left you time to move. The beast was too weak to do much. Still, seemed respectful to keep the distance and leave its ends to animal and trainer. She starved out. Not the way they should go, and not the way I was used to seeing them. Oh, they were majestic bastards, and they knew it. Ask any warden dumped arse over ears for not picking nits. See, trainer and beast had a kinship, and both knew what they wanted. For Griffin, that bond meant grooming. Couldn't fault them. They needed what they needed. I mean, what's fair trade for saddling a warden commander, full plate, lightning storm, sheer dive straight through an archdemon's wing? Legendary, you can't argue. But back on the ground, they knew they were owed. You couldn't shortcut and douse them. They had all the majesty of a paddling rat if you waterlogged the feathers. No, it was a grueling task of preening 30 bloody feet of wing. And you'd better remember, or maybe the thing got pissy and next flight and cut an oak too close, giving you a love tap so hard your next helm dented. Still, everything in balance, every talon tipped, there was nothing that compared. You could reach down from the sky and cradle Thetis in your hand. Anyway, yes, I remember the second last one. After she dropped, the robes took some crosscuts, because they do things like that. Then we burned it, and then I got drunk. I do not remember the very last, and you can't make me. Comments of an unnamed warden, excerpted, I don't like that word, from Weishaupt records on the extinction of a treasured species, liberated for public consideration by Philium, a bard! I like the exclamation point at the end there. The Imperial Chantry. There are those who would tell you that the chantry is the same everywhere as it is here, that the divine in Valroyo reigns supreme in the eyes of the Maker, and that this fact is unquestioned throughout Thetis. Do not believe it. The Maker's second commandment, magic must serve man, not rule over him, never held the same meaning within ancient Tevinter Imperium as it did elsewhere. The chantry there interpreted the rule as meaning that mages should never control the minds of other men, and that otherwise their magic should benefit the rulers of men as much as possible. When the clerics of Tevinter altered the Chant of Light to reflect this interpretation of the commandment, the divine in Valroyo ordered the clerics to revert to the original chant. They refused, claiming corruption within Valroyo, and argument that grew until in 387, Towers, the chantry in Tevinter elected its own legitimate and uncorrupted divine Valhale, who was not only male, but also happened to be one of the most prominent members of the Tevinter circle of the Magi. This black divine was reviled outside of Tevinter, his existence an offense to the chantry in Valroyo. After 4 exalted marches to dislodge these rebels, oh hi Sunny, all that the chantry in Valroyo accomplished was to cement the separation. While most aspects of the Imperial Chantry's teachings are the same, prohibitions against magic have been weakened, and male priests have become more prevalent. The Circle of Magi today rules Tevinter directly. Ever since Archon Nomarin was elected in 734 Storm, directly from the ranks of the enchanters, to great applause from the public. He dispensed with the old rules forbidding mages from taking part in politics, and within an age, the true rulers within the various imperial houses, the mages, took their places openly within the government. The Imperial Divine is not only drawn from the ranks of the first enchanters and operates as divine and Grand Enchanter both. This is utter heresy to any member of the chantry outside of Tevinter, a return to the days of the Magisters, which brought the blights down upon us. But it exists, and even though we have left the Tevinter Imperium to the mercies of the dread Cunari, still they have endured. Further confrontation between the Black Divine and our so-called White Divine is inevitable. From Edicts of the Black Divine by Father David of Carinus, 811 Blessed. That was my cat Sunny, by the way. He might continue to make appearances, and if he ends up standing on keyboard during battle, might cause us deaths. Lyrium. Lyrium is the king of metals. Beneath our feet, it sings. When properly refined, it is a smooth, slightly iridescent, silvery liquid. In the hands of the dwarven smith class, it is mixed with steel to produce an indestructible armor and blades that hold an edge for centuries. In the hands of the shaper it becomes a repository for living memories. And some scholars maintain this as evidence that lyrium itself is alive. It finds its most lucrative application in the hands of the Fomari, who use it in conjunction with baser metals like gold, silverite, viridium, and even iron to produce enchantments. Though mages, of course, consume it in a diluted form to bolster their abilities, this is not recommended. Overindulgence in lyrium can have disastrous consequences, particularly in more concentrated amounts. It is not advisable, for instance, that any reader handle raw lyrium, which in many cases can kill on contact. An excerpt from an Alchemical Primer of Metallurgy, Volume 1, by Lord Cerastus of Marnus Pell. The Magisterium. There is a mistaken impression outside the Tevinter Imperium that a magister is simply a mage, and that the mere act of being a mage is all that is required to be among the ruling class. A misperception aided, no doubt, by some Tevinter mages claiming the title outside their homeland to take advantage of its reputation. In truth, being a magister requires one to hold a seat in the magisterium, the upper house of the imperial senate. This is the body that makes laws, and which chooses the new archon if there is no approved heir. The Senate's lower house, the Publicanum, consists of elected officials, but it has no true power and is considered a bureaucratic body. Magisters, meanwhile, come from the ranks of the Circle of Magi and the Imperial Chantry, but most hold their seats by virtue of an archon having granted it to their family long ago. It is not technically required for a magister to be a mage. Indeed, after the transfiguration that saw the old gods abandoned and Androstianism embraced, most were not. Since the Tower's age, however, non-mages in the magisterium have slowly been weeded out. A true magister is thus a figure of real power in Tevinter. All other mages serve at their pleasure, and any mage not of proper lineage has no influence outside of that which personal wealth and talent provide. From The Ancient North by Sister Petrine, Chantry Scholar. The Maker. There was no word for heaven or for earth, for sea or sky. All that existed was silence. Then the voice of the Maker rang out, his first word, and his word became all that might be. Dream and idea, hope and fear, endless possibilities, and from it made his firstborn, and he said to them, In my image I forge you, to you I give dominion, over all that exists. By your will may all things be done. Then in the center of heaven he called forth a city with towers of gold, streets with music for cobblestones, and banners which flew without wind. There he dwelled, waiting to see the wonders his children would create. The children of the Maker gathered before his golden throne and sang hymns of praise unending, but their songs were the songs of the cobblestones. They shone with the golden light reflected from the Maker's throne. They held forth the banners that flew on their own. And the voice of the Maker shook the fade, saying, In my image I have wrought my firstborn. You have been given dominion over all that exists. By your will all things are done. Yet you do nothing. The realm I have given you is formless, ever-changing. And he knew he had wrought amiss. So the Maker turned from his firstborn, and took from the fade a measure of its living flesh, and placed it apart from the spirits, and spoke to it, saying, Here I decree opposition in all things, for earth, sky, for winter, summer, for darkness, light. By my will alone is balance sundered, and the world given new life. And no longer was it formless, ever-changing, but held fast, immutable, with words for heaven and for earth, sea and sky. At last did the Maker, from the living world, make men, immutable as the substance of the earth, with souls made of dream and idea, hope and fear, endless possibilities. Then the Maker said, To you, my second-born, I grant this gift. In your heart shall burn an unquenchable flame, all-consuming and never satisfied. From the fade I crafted you, and to the fade you shall return each night in dreams, that you may always remember me. And then the Maker sealed the gates of the golden city, and there he dwelled, waiting to see the wonders his children would create. Threnodies 5:1-8. I'm really curious because it's called the Chant of Light, so obviously it's written very poetic, but I'm curious, like, you think about people singing the chant, like, that's a thing in the Dragon Age universe, and I want to know to what tune this goes. If there's, like, real answers, please comment them below. If there's not real answers, I'm curious what you think this should be sung to, because, like, honestly, I've tried singing parts of the Chant of Light when, like, writing or reading Dragon Age material, and it's not easy to just, like, come up with on the fly. It's much like trying to read the, like, Tom Bombadil songs in the Lord of the Rings books. Nivara. The fourth time I attempted to cross the border into Nivara from Orlais, I was turned back by chevaliers. I decided to take the more roundabout path, a ship back to Ferelden, then another to Nivara. The outcome was more than worth the trouble. The whole country is filled with artistry, from the statues of heroes that litter the streets and even the meanest villages, to the glittering golden College of Magi in Cumberland, where perhaps nowhere is more astonishing than the vast necropolis outside Nivara city. Unlike most other followers of Andraste, the Nivarans do not burn their dead. Instead, they carefully preserve the bodies and seal them in elaborate tombs. Some of the wealthiest Nivarans begin construction of their own tombs while quite young, and these become incredible palaces, complete with gardens, bathhouses, and ballrooms, utterly silent, kept only for the dead. From In Pursuit of Knowledge, The Travels of a Chantry Scholar by Brother Genetivi. I think this is really cool, because it very much brings to mind things of, like, the ancient Egyptian pyramids, and other, like, funerary palaces like the Taj Mahal in the real world. So I think Nivara is really, really interesting. No, this has nothing to do with the fact that my first playthrough I romanced Emmerich. I promise. I just think it's cool. The Orlesian Empire. There are many lords and ladies in Val Royeaux. I mean this literally. Once the system of noble titles in Orlais was labyrinthine. There were barons and barons and baronets and sir-barons and a horde of others, each with its own origins and its own nuances of comparison. The Orlesian aristocracy is ancient and much given to competition. All the nobility play the grand game, as it is known, whether they wish to or not. It is a game of reputation and patronage, where moves are made with rumors, and scandal is the chief weapon. No gentle game, this. More blood has been drawn as a result of the grand game than any war the Orlesians have fought. Of this I am assured by almost every gentleman here. As far as titles went, everything changed with the coming of Emperor Drakon, who established the Orlesian Empire as it exists now, and who created the Chantry. There is no more venerated figure in Orlais. In Val Royeaux, the statue of Drakon stands as tall as the statue of Andraste. Drakon determined that the grand game was tearing Orlais apart, so he abolished all titles beside his own, and lord and lady. I am told, with some twittering amusement, that this action did not end the grand game as Drakon had intended. Now the lords and ladies collected unofficial titles rather than the official ones, such as the exalted patron of Tassis Clay, or uncle to the champion of Trem. It is a headache to remember such titles, and one winces to think of the poor doormen at the balls who must rattle them off as each guest enters the room. The aristocracy is different from Ferelden in other ways as well. The Orlesians' right to rule stems directly from the Maker. There exists neither the concept of rule by merit, nor the slightest notion of rebellion. If one is not noble, one aspires to be, or at least aspires to be in the good graces of a noble, and is ever watching for a way to enter the patronage of those better placed in the grand game. And then there are the masks, and the cosmetics. I have not seen so much paint since the kennels of Highever, but that is another story. From Beyond the Frostbacks by Ben Tjorick of West Hill, 920 Dragon. God, excuse me. Yes. Hello. The Qunari. The people of the Qun are, perhaps, the least understood group in Thedas. The Qunari wars were brutal, but so was the Chantry Schism. So was the fall of the Imperium. Some of this misunderstanding is an accident of nature. The race we call Qunari are formidable. Nature has given them fierce horns and strange eyes, and the ignorant look on them and see monsters. Some is an accident of language. Few among the Qun's people speak the common tongue, and fewer speak it well. In a culture that strives for mastery, to have only a passable degree of skill is humiliating indeed, and so they often keep quiet among foreigners, out of shame. But so much of it is the end result of the culture itself. The Qunari view their society as a single creature, a living entity whose health and well-being is the responsibility of all. I'm sorry, I have an eyelash in my eye. Oh. Break. But much of it is the result of the culture itself. The Qunari view their whole society as a single creature, a living entity whose health and well-being is the responsibility of all. Each individual is only a tiny part of the whole, a drop of blood in its veins, important not for itself, but for what is to the whole creature. Because of this, the Qunari most outsiders meet belong to the army, which the Qun regards as if it were the physical body, arms, legs, eyes, and ears, the things a creature needs in order to interact with the world. One cannot get to know a person solely by meeting his hand or his foot, so one cannot truly meet the Qunari until one has visited their cities. This is where their mind and soul dwell. In Saharan and Parvalan, one can truly see the Qunari in their entirety. There, the unification of the Qunari into a single being is most evident. Workers, whom the Qun call the mind, produce everything the Qunari require. The soul, the priesthood, seeks a greater understanding of the self, the world, and exhorts the body and mind to continually strive for perfection. The body serves as the go-between for the mind, the soul, and the world. Everyone and everything has a place, decided by the Qun, in which they work for the good of the whole. It is a life of certainty, of equality, if not individuality. From the writings of the seer of Kontar, 841 Blessed. Rivain! Nowhere in my travels, not in the heart of the Imperium, nor the streets of Orzammar, have I felt so much an outsider as in Rivain. The chant of light never truly reached the ears of these people. The years they spent under the thumb of the Qunari left most of the country zealous followers of the Qun, but resistance to the chant goes deeper than the Qunari war. The Rivaini refuse to be parted from their seers, wise women who are in fact hedge mages, communicating with spirits and actually allowing themselves to become possessed. The chantry prohibition against such magical practices violates millennia of local tradition. From In Pursuit of Knowledge, The Travels of a Chantry Scholar by Brother Genetivi. I want to know more about Rivain. This is a very small section. I guess we get maybe a smidge more here. No, we don't. I thought since Pirate Hat, but no. Sexuality in Thedas. What I find most interesting is that despite the lack of open discussion on matters of human sexuality, there is a commonality to be found on the subject in all Andrastian lands. Typically, one's sexual habits are considered natural and separate from matters of procreation, and only among nobility, where procreation involves issues of inheritance and the union of powerful families, is it considered of vital importance. Yet, even there, a noble who has done their duty to the family might be allowed to pursue their own sexual interests without raising eyebrows. The view on indulging lusts with a member of the same gender varies from land to land. In Orlais, it is considered a quirk of character and nothing more. In Ferelden, it is a matter of scandal if done indiscreetly, but otherwise nothing noteworthy. In Tevinter, it is considered selfish and deviant behavior among nobles, but actively encouraged with favored slaves. Nowhere is it forbidden, and sex of any kind is only considered worthy of judgment when taken to awful excess or performed in the public eye. From In Pursuit of Knowledge, The Travels of a Chantry Scholar, by Brother Genetivi. Surface Dwarves. In Orzammar, dwarven society is divided into rigid castes, with houses that compete for power and prestige. But all that is discarded when a dwarf abandons the stone for the surface. Under the open sky, everyone is equal, or so the story goes. The truth is that thousands of years of traditions are not so easily tossed aside. Even though surface dwarves are officially stripped of their caste, many maintain a hierarchy among themselves along the old caste lines. Formerly, noble houses are accorded more respect than casteless brands who come up in search of opportunity. The poorest noble dwarf on the surface looks upon the rich lower caste dwarfs with contempt. Upper-class surface dwarf society is roughly divided into two camps: Kalnas, who insist on maintaining caste and rank, typically those from the noble or merchant caste families, and Ascendants, who believe in leaving Orzammar traditions underground and embracing life in the sunlit world. Maintaining some tie to Orzammar was seen for generations as the only lifeline for surface dwarves. Bringing surface goods to their kin underground and lyrium and metals to the surface was not only the most lucrative means of making a living, but also a sort of sacred duty, as many surface dwarves willingly accepted exile and the loss of their caste to better serve their house or patron. In recent years, many surface dwarves, particularly Ascendants, have branched out. They started banks, mercenary companies, and overland trade caravans. They became investors and speculators in purely surface trade. These new industries have proved tremendous sources of wealth, but are looked down upon by their more conservative kin. For less affluent surface dwarves, association with a powerful Kalna can open many doors. They can get credit with dwarven merchants and are offered work opportunities by the powerful dwarven merchants' guilds more readily, sometimes than more qualified but less connected individuals. From The Dowager's Field Guide to Good Society, by Lady Alcyone. Alcyone. Sure. Tevinter Society. To those outside of the Tevinter Imperium, it is easy to imagine a society filled with mages and elven slaves and little else. In truth, there are 3 different Tevinters, each of them a world completely separated from the others. There are the mages, the land's nobility, completely obsessed with competing for supremacy with one another, almost to the exclusion of paying any heed to the nation's enemies, such as the Cunari. The well-bred Altus sneer at the Laetans, who in turn sneer at the Praetari. They vie for dominance in the magisterium, where factions shift and flow on a daily basis, with deadly consequences, requiring every family to put on a veneer of perfect citizenship or face scandal and censure. Then there are the so-called Soperati, the sleepers. These are the non-magical citizens who vastly outnumber the mages, yet are beholden to their whims. Many are resentful of this status, plotting in secret, even as they secretly hope their children will possess magical talent. An enticing lure, since the talent could conceivably show up in anyone, even a slave. It would be easy to forget that Tevinter possesses a massive class of publicans, the civil servants and leaders of the legionnaires. It has an enormous merchant class, enough teeming poor to drown any other nation in Thedas, and the shadowy thieves called Praesumptor, who are practically treated with respect. And then there are the slaves. One would think they, at least, see each other as equal, but it is not so. The divide between the freed liberati, who act as personal servants to magisters, those who work on farms and factories, and the servus publicus, who do all the tasks proper citizens will not, it is all but insurmountable, but perhaps in emulation of those who own them. Imperial slaves will connive and scheme to try anyhow. Outsiders might see this as futile, but to Deventer citizens, their national social classes are the most mutable. Their nation's social classes are the most mutable and rewarding of merit in all of Thedas. From In Pursuit of Knowledge, The Travels of a Chantry Scholar, by Brother Jonah TV. The Veil. I detest this notion that the veil is some manner of invisible curtain that separates the world of the living from the world of the spirits. Whether it be called the Fade or the Beyond is a matter of racial politics I refuse to indulge in at this moment. There is no this side and that side when it comes to the veil. One cannot think of it as a physical thing or a barrier or even a shimmering wall of holy light. Thank you very much for that image, your perfection. Think of the veil instead as opening one's eyes. Before you opened them, you saw your world as you see it now. Static, solid, unchanging. Now that they are open, you see our world as the spirits see it. Chaotic, ever-changing, a realm where the imagined and the remembered have as much substance as that which is real. More, in fact. A spirit sees everything as defined by will and memory. And this is why they are so very lost when they cross the veil. In our world, imagination has no substance. Objects exist independently of how we remember them, or what emotions we associate with them. Mages alone possess the power to change the world with their minds, and perhaps this forms the nature of a demon's attraction to them. Who can say? Regardless, the act of passing through the veil is as much more about changing one's perceptions than a physical transition. The veil is an idea. It is an act of transition itself, and it is only the fact that both living beings and spirits find this transition difficult that gives the veil any credence as a physical barrier at all. From a dissertation on the Fade as a Physical Manifestation by Moreno, Senior Enchanter of the Minrathous Circle of Magi, 655 Steel. Vitar. After extensive study of the Cunari specimens you kindly provided, I've come to the conclusion that the painted markings on their face and body are not, in fact, solely for ceremonial purpose, but provide a practical benefit. Oh, I'm certain there is some cultural significance to the patterns and colors they choose, but the Cunari do nothing without purpose, yes? They call these markings Vitar, which in their tongue means poison armor. It is called this because the markings are magical in nature and actually harden their skin to an iron-like quality without hindering flexibility. And my analysis says the paint consists largely of poison. It's mixed with something else, blood perhaps, their own, and that neutralizes the poison, but only for one with Cunari physiology. Anyone else would perish almost instantly, which reminds me I'll kindly require another body slave. The process activates the magical qualities of the poison, which provides the protective effects, almost in the same manner that lyrium runes do. How this works, and whether it can be used for our purposes, will require further study. Perhaps some live specimens this time? From a letter written by Nemeria Orgianus, apprentice to Magister Varus, 932 Dragon. They out here, post-Fifth Blight, saying, "Not to worry, let's test some poison on our slaves." Deventer. And last of at least our World of Thedas section, Xenon the Antiquarian. I left the Black Emporium empty-handed for 2 reasons. First, most of the items were priced far beyond what I could afford. Second, I spent most of my short time there trying to sate my curiosity about its proprietor. I found myself stealing glances at the antiquarian from behind piles of books, between shelves, and at one point over a basket of mismatched socks. There he sat, petrified in the center of the emporium, skin of waxy gray over ancient taut sinew, moaning in a voice so dry and brittle it sounded like the snapping of twigs after a drought. A girl of no more than 12 scurried to and fro to fulfill his numerous requests. Another patron noticed my fascination and told me that the girl, most likely an urchin rescued from the street, was responsible for the needs of the antiquarian, feeding, washing, and the like. So impossibly old is he, and so fragile his skin, he can only tolerate the barest whisper of touches from the smallest and most tender of his servants. Only in this way may he come close to his lost youth, says the man. I was surrounded by objects of legend, yet none fascinated me as did the antiquarian. From a journal page found in Kirkwall's Darktown, written by an unknown author. And what do we have in our miscellaneous? The Lighthouse, which we already read, and a letter dated 6 months ago. Aldweir. Strife has finally given up sending teams out to rediscover that route that was lost. Without the magic in the map, the path will not open, and the map is gone. I know it was difficult for him to make the final decision. You could see the angry vein in his forehead for days after. Now maybe he can start to move past it. Most of the others have already, but of course, as the leader of this mission, he views your defiance, the outcome that resulted, as something of a personal failure. We will give him time. Your being away is a blessing, and we all hope that your work with Varric Tethras is going well. You will be glad to hear that some of the younger Veil Jumpers are quite excited about you being on the trail of the Dreadwolf himself. You must regale them upon your return. Irulan. Whoo! And we get to click mark all as read, and we done. Our 5% is handled. Wow. I'm going to take a little quick break. This is only just going to be a quick skip for you guys, but I will be right back. Alright, we are back. Welcome back if you skipped Codex entries. If you didn't, wow, you just sat through me reading all that. Now you know more Dragon Age lore. Let's go check in with Nev. Oh, let's fall. There we go.
Whoa.
Yeah. Whoa, indeed. It's beautiful.
Look who's with us.
We're really in the Fade.
Land of raw magic, nightmares, and this, apparently. It's a lot to take in.
Harding thought we should talk about what comes next.
She's not wrong. But if you need a breather, can't hurt to look around first.
I will do a little quick run around. Run around, I get around. It's so beautiful. You even go up here yet? Can. I didn't know we could go up here yet. Oh, what do we have? Our fated note. Look at this place. We planned a rebellion here once. Said we'd change the future of the elves. Throw off tyrants. And we did. Now the path outside is fractured. It'll be hard rekindling all the Illuvians. Solus, if you see this, I'll be looking for you. Out in this world and in the mortal one. Don't cause too much trouble before I get there. Hey, Sunshine. Hey, Sunshine. Sorry, we're gonna get bad imagery because I gotta scratch my kitty cat's head. Oh, yeah, we can go ahead and start rotating some of these. Since it's giving us the statement to do that. Read. To enter the library passage, 3 pairings must meet face to face. So I'm going to assume this is pairing number 1. I'm not assuming this, I actually know, but that's okay. This is pairing number 1. Oh.
Must be 2 more.
Wow. That's a lot. these statues, they appear to be, the feminine one has the little head sculpt of Mithal, and the masculine one looks like Solus. And then while we're running over here, why don't we go talk to Harding? See what Miss Lace Harding has to say to us.
It wasn't supposed to go this way. What do we do now? What do we do? Harding? Oh, hey, Rook. How's it going? I should be asking you that. I got you hurt.
This is a dangerous job. Everyone knew that signing on. There's so much to do. We have to keep going.
You're kind of unstoppable, huh?
You don't slow down for much, do you?
You sound just like Varric. And I always said, well, someone's got to keep you on your toes, old man. So, that's what I'm here to do. That's what I have to do. We need to get back to the ritual site, don't we? Let's stop worrying about me and go do that. Come get me when you're ready to go.
Sounds good, Lace. You got it, dude. It's really interesting playing this a couple of times, seeing like where I'm at right now with the way the area around here looks. Because as we gather our companions, it will start to change a little bit, not like drastically in most ways, but it will. There are things to change here. So we're gonna go talk to Nev. Let's see what Nev's up to.
Wisps. Figures are in the fade, but I swear they're following me.
You alright?
Strange place you've fallen into, but I'll work with it. You know me.
Do I?
I know Varric wanted you for the job. You know the same about me. It's a start.
Wow, we got our first romance option here. I'm just gonna go ahead and let people know I'm gonna be romancing Davrin with Arana. I debated hard about romancing him or Emmerich in my first personal playthrough, and I ended up going with Emmerich, so we're going Davrin with Arana. But, I'd love to see all the romance options for a bit. I think it's kind of fun to, like, see them. They're kind of cool. It's quite the start.
I'm not sure stopping a ritual is the best way to meet someone.
So much for first impressions.
Here's hoping I'm better on the second.
Well, you're not bad so far.
Nev's so pretty.
You take a lot of notes. What about?
Lately, what we know, or knew, before Solus changed the game.
And it's...
Not much. I'm sure Lace would hate to hear that, but one step at a time.
We'll start big, work our way down.
Okay. So step one is figure out what we're chasing.
Right. And the 20 other questions that need answers...
That's step two?
I can see why Varric brought you on.
We've just got to start somewhere.
Alright. I'm gonna quickly run into this building over here. Oh, I'm gonna almost die. That's good. I'm gonna quickly run over in here, because it's cool to look at. This is our dining hall. It's interesting. There's a little pantry in here. Oh, Imperial Leaf. Not much in here, but that's for now. There's something over there, though. I'll read that in a second. This little kitchen is so itsy bitsy, but I do appreciate the fact that they do have a stove. I feel like that's not something we see in a lot of these kind of games. Certainly, we didn't have kitchens to use in, like, Origins. Alright. Notes on a caretaker. This note has a smear of paint on one corner. Have they always been here? There are beings in the crossroads, unknown even to the wise. Though the most ancient ones make any domain their own, certainly this caretaker belongs here now. I wonder what we look like to them. Need is a scaffold, and the hunger of the living ever rise and fall upon it. The needs of the living, the hunger, thirst, sleep. Imagine the constant cacophony to one sensitive to such things. Or am I too simple? Wants are fleeting, needs have deeper roots. Perhaps that's why I find this particular spirit's presence both comforting and disconcerting. The prospect that our heart's desire and our truest need could differ, or are even at odds, is hard to contemplate. Who will it run up over here? Oh, box. Alright. To the table it is. To the library table. Big jumps. And jump. Okie dokie. Gather our team.
So,
Hey, team.
we stopped the ritual.
And Varric paid the price.
Hey, Varric made his choice to go talk with Solus. He knew the risks. We all did.
And now Solus is gone. And we're here. Wherever here is. Besides in the Fade.
Solus called it the Lighthouse.
He did? When?
He was in my head.
In my head, Solus showed up while I was out cold to gripe about us breaking his ritual.
He's mad about us destroying his ritual?
Sounded like it. When the ritual went wrong, he ended up trapped in some kind of prison.
You're sure that wasn't just a dream? It's a reasonable reaction.
Solus can speak with people in their dreams. Even kill them.
I'm not in danger. He can only barely reach me. I bled a little when I got knocked out.
So Solus is using blood magic? Like any normal mage would to play with your mind?
Yep.
But he's not a normal mage, like I told you. He's an elven god.
Putting together a nice ritual doesn't make him a god.
Elven gods were dangerous. My gods were dangerous. This isn't normal magic. Oh, I got all of the options. That's really funny. I'm gonna say my gods were dangerous.
The gods of my people were incredibly powerful. I don't mean they were powerful like a skilled mage. I mean they destroyed entire cities. They shattered mountains. So no, they might not literally be gods, but they're a lot worse than whatever you're thinking.
All right, well, we've stopped the ritual and there doesn't seem to be an immediate danger. For now. You're certain Solus can't use blood magic to affect your mind?
I'm not certain of anything, but we're not out of danger.
What do you mean?
Solus had two of the other elven gods imprisoned. When he got trapped, they escaped.
So those things we saw come out of the Fade when the ritual went wild, those are...
Elgornon and Gillenane, two of the ancient elven gods that Solus rebelled against.
It's our fault. They're stronger than Solus. They're worse than Solus. They're ours to kill. I think Arana wants them dead.
They're our next target.
So we set our sights on a pair of elven gods. Like it's easy.
Who else is gonna do it? If they're loose, they need killing.
They were evil tyrants who enslaved their people. We need to stop them.
Solus says Elgornon and Gillenane drew on the Blight for power and became corrupted. That was when he imprisoned them.
So instead of one god running around, we have two. And they're not just powerful, they're blighted.
We
Yup.
need to get out there and stop them.
Just like that, without Varric. And you're still getting back on your feet.
I'm fine. We can't just sit here and do nothing.
We need to investigate. Figure out what we're dealing with before we rush in and make things worse.
And how many more people will get hurt, get killed, while we spend time investigating?
I mean, so like, Nev's correct. We do need to investigate. However, I think Arana is all about like, let's just get out there and get the job done. So we're gonna say Harding's right here. Personally, I believe Nev is right, but we're gonna go with Harding.
If Elgernon and Gillinan are worse than Solus, we don't have time to waste. We need to act now.
We don't know what they can do or what they want. We don't even know if Solus is telling the truth.
I'm not saying we go in blind, but this time, if we see a shot, we take it.
All right. The last place we saw them was the ritual site.
The Illuvian took us here from the ritual site, instead of back to Minrathous.
Then let's hope it takes us back.
Harding, are you okay to go?
I'm not gonna sit back while elven gods destroy the world because I have a headache.
All right then. Let's get back to the ritual site.
The Illuvian has its own special room. It's just down the stairs.
I love that Arana got the dogs out. They're cracking me up. That's just how they be doing Dalish elf things. I don't know if this game allows me to actually be Dalish. Like, it lets me put on Valis Lane, but I know when my first rook I played was an elf. I didn't want her to be Dalish actually, but I gave her Valis Lane, and then they were talking all about like how she wasn't Dalish. It was interesting. The Dread Wolf's Illuvian. Most of us have only traveled through the Illuvians at the whims of those who called themselves our gods. We know them as mirrors that always go from one to another, a bonded pair linked no matter the distance. Solus has outsmarted these so-called gods. If we use normal Illuvians, they could track us to our lair. Solus has improved upon June's work by creating a mirror whose singing stone can change its tune to take us to an Illuvian, and not just its bonded partner. Thus, we can travel wherever this rebellion needs us, with no fear of pursuit. Travel is as safe as a normal Illuvian. If you have questions, ask for the slow arrow, and I will guide you. Thalasan. Gather team. I don't think there's much of a choice here. In fact, I don't even know if it allows us a choice at all. It does not. Right now, at least. Maybe it does in a second.
For all we know, there's a dozen demons waiting on the other side of that Illuvian.
If it even takes us back to Arlefin.
Harding, you sure you're up for this?
I'm fine.
Well then. Shall we?
Let's do this.
Let's do it. Into the Illuvian. That's not how it's pronounced. We're being Orlesian.
It's quiet. Well, isn't that a surprise?
There's the ritual site.
There it is.
But if the gods really did get out, they're not here anymore.
Right. Let's take a look around and see if we can find any...
Shut it down!
I'm trying! It's not
Strife? Irulan?
What are you doing back in Arlethan?
Long story.
Isn't it always with you? And did I hear you're going by Rook now?
Nev, this is Strife and Irulan. They're veil jumpers like me, experts in elven magic. I worked with them before Harding and Varric recruited me.
Hardly experts. I should have been able to shut that artifact down. I'm sorry, Tarith.
It's not your fault. Since the sky ripped open, the magic's been surging. Bunch of artifacts that had been dormant for centuries started coming alive. This is because of Finn Harel's... Solus's ritual, isn't it? Thought you were supposed to stop him. Or did unforeseen complications lead to unforeseen consequences? Again.
Are you still mad about the map?
Will you let it go? Yes, the map was destroyed, but everyone walked out of there alive.
I told you to wait.
If I'd waited for you to make a copy, people would have died.
So you ran off on your own, and now we've lost the only way of navigating back to that site. We lost the work put into it, everything we uncovered, and everything we hadn't.
Solus's ritual. You stopped it?
Sky's not ripping itself apart anymore, is it?
All right, you stopped Solus. So why is Arlethan neck deep in wild magic?
Solus was dragged into the Fade when we interrupted his ritual, but something else got out.
Someone else, supposedly. Elgornon and Gillenane.
Mithalanest. Two of the elven gods of old. The Evanuris.
Shit. If they're back in the world, that explains a lot.
So, what's next?
So Elgornon and Gillenane are loose, which means what?
You thought Solus was bad. He's a bit of a bastard, true. But next to them, let's just say they weren't known for their kindness.
There's a reason Solus led a rebellion against the Evanuris, and a reason he imprisoned them.
Of all the ancient things to unearth, of course it had to be two of the Evanuris. And of course it had to be you that unearthed them.
Tarith is in bad shape. We need to get him back to the camp.
We've still got dozens of veil jumpers unaccounted for.
How can we help?
We need to find Bellara Lutare. She's the best there is at working with our ancient artifacts.
And also at blowing them up.
She was off looking for another artifact before this ritual shook everything loose. If anyone can get a handle on all this wild magic and the artifacts it's setting off, it'll be her.
Right. Then you two get your friend back to your camp and we'll find Bellara.
Harding, stay here.
Harding, I need you to stay with the Veil Jumpers. Nev and I can handle this.
I'm fine.
No, you're not. Until you've recovered from your injuries, you're a liability.
Fine.
We'll meet you back at the Veil Jumper camp. It's just south of here.
Bellara's out near some elven ruins to the west. At least she was 3 days ago. I'd start your search there.
Good luck, Rook. And thank you.
Irulan's so pretty. Like, we don't talk about how pretty some of the NPCs are. And Irulan is so gorgeous. As is Antoine, and we will meet him later. But I think Antoine is super, super, super pretty. I like his lips. Which sounds protruding. He has a scar, and I think it's very nice.
Never been to this part of Arlethan before. This fog's strange.
I've never seen fog like this. Something's not right.
I always just try to, like, run directly to where I'm supposed to go, so I'm actually curious if I like, deliberately don't go where I'm told. Because I'm like, how'd we get here? Did we come through that? Probably. I mean, I work outside. You have some tree fall behind you. That's like the worst thing that can happen when you're out in the woods. I mean, it's not the worst thing that can happen to you, but like you get stuck out there and you have to find a different way around. And luckily for the Veil Jumpers, they're on foot, so like you can kind of scramble through that if you had to. I'm always in a truck. Or a UTV, I suppose.
So that suit of armor is moving. There's a problem. Behind you, look out! That's one for Rook.
Nice. That wasn't bad.
Gotcha. Oh, people. Where'd you come from?
Bellara Lutare? Strife and Irelin sent us to find you.
Wait, didn't you used to be a veil jumper? You left with Varric. What was your name?
Rook. At least, that's the nickname Varric gave me.
Nev Gallus.
Wait, I know that name, but
I think the Rook part, this is certainly the first background I've played that it actually addresses that Rook is specifically only a nickname that Varric gave you, and that you do have another name. Because even, like, so I've played all of the Grey Warden background, and then I've played part of the Mournwatch one, and they do not ever acknowledge that you've been anyone but Rook, which I think is interesting. So I appreciate the Veil Jumpers that are like, what was your name? And they're like, I'm Rook now. Like, no, they never get to go, I'm Arana, but, like, they do get to say, I'm Rook now. Which is really cool. Sorry. Back to the
call us to
cutscene.
wait a full week before they send anyone out to look for me? I've only been gone 3 days.
Well, the situation's changed. For the worse, unfortunately. Our gods, Elgranon and Gillenane, they've escaped from Fen'Harel's prison. And by all accounts, they want to destroy the world.
Oh, yes, that is very much for the worse. Okay, wait. I need a second.
It won't help.
I've had a couple of days, and I'm still trying to wrap my head around it.
It does sort of explain a few things, though.
Like what exactly?
The surge of raw magic in the area. These artifacts started waking up a while ago, but in fits and starts. One here, a couple there. Then, a couple of days ago, the sky split open. And now, raw magic. Thick as fog. Only a god, or gods, could have done that. There's something kind of exciting about it. And dangerous. Really dangerous. Dangerous enough that I was gonna head back to the Veil Jumper camp, but...
But what?
See that shimmer? That's a veil bubble. It's separating us from the rest of the real world, so to speak. You can only pass through it one way. Once you're in, you can't get out.
We can force our way out.
We don't have time for this. Let's just force our way out.
Oh, I wouldn't do that. I don't know what contacting that much raw magic would do to you. But there's another way. A bubble like that? There has to be something at the center that's generating it. Something powerful. If we can find it and remove it safely, I mean, the bubble itself should collapse.
And then we're back in reality?
I sure hope so.
Well then, let's get going.
My necklace smells weird. Okay. On we go. We're in Arlathan. We're
I've
crossing
been trying to get to the artifact at the center of the bubble.
Tiny
but
skinny
these
tree.
magical constructs keep getting in the way.
A few dozen demons shouldn't be a problem.
Spirits, not demons. They're animating those suits of armor. The armor's attuned to the artifact to protect it from threats.
Ah, and I'm guessing it sees us as threats.
So pretty. I thought there might be something back here. There is not. I do actually want to. Ooh, there's truffles. I do actually want to go ahead and do my skills because I haven't done them yet. And I do have 3. So let's see. Starting with our core, we probably just want all three of these things, right? I tried using the Mind Blast in my last game. I never actually did it because I never actually defend with Q. I always just like step away. Activate. Oh, I do love that one. I did use that a ton in my last game. Combat, jump attacks, guaranteed criticals if it like, knocks it down. Let's increase our mana. Ooh, I guess the question here is where do we think we're gonna spec? Do we think we're gonna spec Crow, Mornwatch, or Shadow Dragon? I think I'm probably gonna end up specking Crow on this go around. I spec'd Mornwatch with my first mage, so I think I'm gonna go this way. But I am gonna do this one as well. Cool. Yeah, I think I'm gonna go like this way. I mean, I'll have a lot to be able to cover, but I think that's where we're gonna start. Let's play Bellara's quest line, like Bellara's intro quest, all the way through, and then we'll probably take a break after that. I think this is going to be a really long episode because of all of the codexes at the beginning, which obviously I'm not, like, expecting everyone to want to listen to me read for forever.
That's the edge of the bubble. Can't pass through it. We need to shut down the artifact first. No.
I can pass through it, but I will frankly drown. The holla! Holla at you. Ain't no holla back, girl. I'm so sorry. We're gonna look at things around here. Oh, there's a treasure chest up there. I can now get to it. Go around then, maybe? Thing over here. I always think these little like firebugs are really cute. The lightning bugs or fireflies, but they're also just little glowing lights.
Is that water just swirling into the air? I've never seen that kind of magical anomaly here before. We call it the whirlpool. They're not usually this big, though.
We already discussed water physics again. The waterfalls look pretty good. That water looks decent. The water in the waterfall anomaly is kind of weird, but like, it's moving in a weird way anyway. It's already supposed to be an anomaly. I think that's fine. Ooh, up we go. And a letter. A barely legible note. Construct broke my leg. Veradin took a blade to the gut. We can hear them above us on the bridge. Once they leave, we'll make a break for it. I can't wait for us forever, right? There we go. Oh, while I'm thinking about it, let's have somebody heal us. If we have someone who can heal. Yes, we do. Beautiful. That way we have full health going into, evidently, things that we're attacking on the bridge. Ooh, that was a higher ledge jump than I thought we could jump, actually. Cool. Let's see what's up here. Up, up, and away. And that takes us back down to where the waterfall anomaly was.
Demons! Right where we need to go. And let's deal with them.
Okay, yep. Tab to use companion abilities. Clearly I do know how to do that already. And now heal me again. Thank you. I'm gonna break all that stuff. That's nothing. In to show your current quest markers. Oh, interesting. That makes up pulse. I never utilized that in my last game.
Any ideas on what the artifact we're looking for might be?
I have a couple of theories, but nothing definite. We might find some clues in the ruins, though.
We might. What you think, Belle? This looks like it would be hostile, like, actually, but nope, it's not. It's just
Nice to find
Veiljumpers
ruins that
def
haven't
leather.
been picked clean.
Most people are too afraid to go this deep into Arlathan, except us Veiljumpers.
With how wild the magic's been here, I don't blame them.
doing some quick loops. Quick facts. Let me do my inventory. We got new things. It's definitely better than what we're wearing, and we can actually wear this because we're a Veiljumper, and it's really cute.
Do you know what this place was?
Could have been a temple, could have been where they stored food. But judging by...
Well, isn't this a sight?
Wait, is this? No, it can't be. Not here.
Can't be what?
We have to get over there. The artifact we're looking for must be inside. It almost feels like an armory, or something like that.
Why would there be an armory this far out?
Warlords. Ancient elves have a lot of them.
I think that's so interesting. The fact that we're learning, like, I know about, like, the lore critiques here. But the fact that we're, like, learning about, like, ancient elven lore, I do think is fun. Even if it's not what was originally taught in the game. Oh, there's a puddle here. Does it act like a puddle? No, it acts like a weirdly mirrored surface. Strange. Unfortunately, I think my preoccupation with water physics is going to continue. This looks fine. It's a little weird.
No way across. Think we can make the jump?
Oh, no, we can make a bridge. There should be a power crystal somewhere nearby.
Oh, the stairs look weird. There's a little bit of a lighting glitch over there on the stairs. I haven't seen a whole lot of, like, visual glitches in this game, which is nice.
Got it.
There shouldn't
Bring
be
it over
very
here
many,
and slot
but
it in.
I know other people have seen several visual glitches.
And there we go. Easy.
Wow, isn't that something?
A resonance amplifier. It's drawing magic from the ring temple to this area. I need to shut it down before we can go up the path. But doing that will attract anything nasty that's hanging around.
We're ready.
We got this, Belle. Let's do it. Ah. Attack warning. Use that to dodge. Dodge or
We're not
defend.
alone. There we go. Under fire. Watch it. Got us at range. Watch it. Nice.
Smashed ya. Oh, is there more? There are more. Okay. I don't hate
That's
this.
the last of the
but I
magic energy.
do feel like
That
I
should
have
be
to be
clear
too
ahead.
close. So I do think I'm actually going to switch back to staff, because I think I actually prefer staff a lot. And we're going to have, once again, Bellara heal us. I have gotten to where I do that a lot in my rogue playthrough, is that I'm using potions so much in combat.
Nev Gallus? The detective from Minrathis?
Last time I checked.
I've read about you. You've gone after some powerful mages before, but Fen'Harel? The real Fen'Harel?
And now Elganon and Gillenane, apparently.
My actual gods are out there trying to end the world, and Nev Gallus is on the case. I can't believe it.
I love how much Bellara loves Nev. It's so cute. She's like, oh my gosh, wait, I know who you are. I love her fangirling. Oh, but as I was saying, I will probably have a companion heal me, at least for a while, until I realize I'm actually not in danger of not having healing potions. Because in my rogue playthrough, I'm playing an underdog, and there aren't nearly as many potion spawns, and I really end up using the potions a lot in battle. And so I end up being, like, very strapped for... I want my companions to be able to do damage, so instead of healing me, I have them do that, and then I use my potions then, and then I have them heal me outside of combat. Ooh, jump in a bush. Okay, now we can actually go do a thing. I'm sorry, I'm just running around talking now. There we go. That's where we're supposed to be. That guy's not attacking Misted, though, so let's go look over here. This area weirdly reminds me so much of the, like, Cole personal quest, where, like, between Solus and Varric, you, like, decide if Cole should be more human-like or more spirit-like. This area reminds me of that so much for some reason. The burb, he flew away.
Someone met a bad end here.
Even mages have trouble with the artifacts here. They expect them to work like, you know, normal magic. But they're different. The magic's more alive somehow.
A weather-stained note. We have found the usurper's archive spirit. It is not the Dreadwolf's creation, as we surmised, but another's. You can guess whose. Removing it could be risky, but leaving it equally so. I await your orders, Lord Elganon. Captain Athnarel. Oh, wow. So those bones have been there since the days of Elvanon? That's crazy. Even bones decomp. Come on. Hello.
Damn. Another sentinel construct. We'll have to take it down. Okay. Easy enough. But watch out. Whenever you see one, there's more nearby.
I appreciate Bellara being like, oh, yeah, that was easy. Okay. Because it was.
Seeing these kinds of ruins never gets old.
Anything here that can help you piece together what exactly that artifact is?
I have a theory, but we're miles away from where that artifact should be.
Yup. Oh, I didn't know Bellara was, like, doing stuff when you moved those around. It looked like she was. It may just be because we were technically in attacking mode, having been dodging into things. Tick. And you have Twist of the Veil, Common Mage Knife. You know what? I probably should update my mage knife. Oh, it's gone. Never mind. We'll do it after this. Okay. Let's see how this one does.
These constructs. It means I was right. Right about what? About where we are. It's an armory. And I think I know what the artifact is.
Yeah, this is how I like to fight. Yeah. We're gonna have you do an attack, and we'll have you do an attack. Oh, they are unfortunately resistant dice.
Yes, got it.
Okay, so it seems like I'm doing necrotic damage right now. Ow. Eh. She said eh. They said eh. That's what I like about the stab attacks. Easy enough. Yeah, what is the crazy uptick in difficulty from this mode to Underdog? Because this seems like around the same difficulty as playing on Keeper. But Underdog's a nightmare. What's up with that?
So if this is an armory, what sort of artifact are we finding? A weapon?
An archive spirit.
A what?
A creature of the
Doesn't
Fade,
act like water.
bound to a crystal. Our ancestors used them to store knowledge and to help them dream.
Nice. Oh, my nose itches. Oh, wow. Smoosh things. A valuable chess piece. If I was like a faction leader and someone was like, let me sell you this chess piece, I don't think that would make me like them more. But that's just me. That's a +3 to my personal faction. I mean, chess is cool. I'm not dissing chess. I just am like, I don't really consider it valuable unless I guess it's ivory. Oh, shoot. Oh, it doesn't actually acknowledge that I'm attacking it. That sucks. Because I was using mana. The Darkspawn designs in this game are really interesting.
Mythalinast. Darkspawn.
Like the bladed arms are really strange to me.
Darkspawn. Here. I never would have believed it. Until today.
They were feeding on this poor dead Hala. The Hala in this game are really, like, concerning looking to me. They all look like they have, like, chronic wasting disease or something. Ooh, how to get down there? Ooh. How to get down there? Oh, hello. We're broken. Oh, that's how. We'll go down this way. Hiya. I don't remember coming down this zone. Fast running. Up. I feel like I need another person here to converse with, is the thing, because I don't feel like I'm very interesting to just listen to. This is not me.
Another
like,
one of
searching
those
for,
resonance
like...
amplifiers.
Get ready. Once I shut it down, the path ahead will remain blocked until the magic dissipates.
These are
Got
really
your back.
interesting. The star in the middle is really interesting. But yeah, no, this is not me searching for like, oh, these are topics you should talk about, or like, this is like, no, I think you sound great. I'm not like fishing for compliments. I just am voicing things.
Sure, here we go.
Okay. And then we will have
About to have a problem.
a Veilguard.
I've never seen Darkspawn this deep into Arlathan Forest before. As far as I know, it's never happened.
Could the Elven gods be commanding the Darkspawn? Solus did say they were blighted.
You saw those Darkspawn, though? Something was different about them.
And we'll stop them once we get out of this bubble.
Right.
I think that's...
Let's get to that central temple.
I think it's really interesting that they keep being like, there's something different about the Blight, which is true, but I think that's an interesting way for them to choose to redesign Darkspawn. Yep. Oh wow, look. There's a ballista here. We're gonna use it to open this wall.
Bang. More darkspawn. Right
Bang.
where you broke that wall.
I killed them. Are there more? There's that guy. I'm just using the ballista at this point. It reloads fast enough that there's not that many darkspawn that keep spawning. That guy up there. He's on the roof. He's on the roof. Okay. They're kind of coming differently now, but it's really not that bad. Do I need to leave the comfort of the ballista to progress? No. See? That was... Why would I leave the comfort of my ballista? This game is delightful. I actually really enjoy it. It does feel a lot like a hack and slash sometimes. Like a really pretty hack and slash. So, like, I acknowledge when people are like, it doesn't feel like a Dragon Age game. Because it kind of doesn't. But I still enjoy it. Doot doot.
And another resonance amplifier.
Yep.
Should be the last one, I hope.
Fingers
Let's
crossed.
see. And you know these guys are gonna attack me. And I'm gonna see if I can do the tab thing from over here. I can. Perfect. Yep. And oh, that one's almost out then. And you do that one. Oh, not almost out. Not nearly as far out as I thought. I run over to here. I run over to here and I... Whoop, I don't have ammo. I can not do that, at least.
The last barrier's down. We're close. I can feel it.
Yeah, I'm just gonna do this, because this is what I kept doing my first playthrough, but this feels as easy as my first playthrough, or very similar.
Have you noticed something about the blight? Where it is, I mean? It's almost like it's feeding off the elven magic.
Yeah, this is fair. It does feel that way. How to get there? Can I go like around like this way? I think. Yeah, probably, right? Ooh. A cracked scroll. The stench of decay fills the air. The Evanuris now wield power beyond anything I've seen. Their magic is fueled by corruption and death, and creeps even now into the stones. We cannot outlast the siege. Ooh. They're like, you go that way, and I'm like, not yet. Not there yet. I want to go over here. And just some gold. So just like we need to be up. How you go? How does one up? Go up on this section, because like I saw there was a chest that was up. So just that it's up here. Huh. I don't remember having seen that area. Maybe you have to hop over from this part. Probably you do.
If that building's what I think it is, then the alignment means We're here.
So
This is it. This is where it was kept.
Where what was kept?
The archive spirit, or as the ancient elves called it, the Nadas Dirthalen. It means the inevitability of knowledge.
Why is it called that?
I don't know, actually. The notes were never very clear on that, but I plan to find out.
Yeah, you do, Bellara. Of course you do. Oh,
More
the light's
constructs
so
ahead.
gross.
The inner sanctum. We're getting closer.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I'm here. The lesser voltaic shades can take an icebreaker. Ooh. What do we got? Oh, Dark Oh, we got Darkspawn. What do we got? Darkspawn. Oh, we got almost death. Embarrassing. That was almost really embarrassing. It's fine. We're fine. Everything's
Looks
fine.
like this door is going to need a second power crystal.
Then let's go find one.
Alright, well. Second power crystal is through there. How do we get through there? We're gonna have to go blast out a wall. Because we need to go over here. How do we get over here? Ballista. So, we're gonna pop this Fate crystal here. Not Fate crystal. Power crystal. Here. Up these stairs. This is gross.
Another ballista. I bet we could use it to break through that wall.
I know we could, Belle. And these guys. We're gonna shoot. And really easily. And we're gonna take our crystal. And we're gonna put this crystal back where it belongs. Because we need both power crystals to open the door. And we're gonna have Bellara heal us. It seems like a combo of like use the potions when they're available, when they're not, have your companions heal you. As opposed to like you need every companion heal you possibly have and every potion heal you possibly have. I was doing the Minrathous dragon fight earlier and literally kept getting one shot killed. Like from full health, one shot killed.
We did it.
Painful.
All that's left is the Nadas Dirthalen. I have so many questions for it.
You're going to ask it questions?
It's an archive spirit.
You'll see.
And to that end, about this dragon fight where I kept getting one shot killed, I also, like, maybe I was too low level, this is fair. Maybe I could have, you know, upgraded my gear better, and there were good reasons why I was failing. But also, like, I wasn't even playing on, like, the nightmares mode setting. I don't even know how it could be worse, but it could be. Speaking of making sure our stuff is upgraded, let's do that. Because we did just get a new orb, and mage knife, and staff. I look awesome. I love the way Arana looks. It's time for the Nadas Dirthalen.
Okay, here it is. The Nadas Dirthalen.
So we take it and we're good, right? We can head back?
Oh, I wish. No, it's a lot trickier than that.
As if darkspawn demons and animated suits of armor aren't tricky enough.
What's tricky about it?
What do you mean by tricky, exactly?
If I remove the artifact the way I'd usually do it, it'll explode and take out half of Arlathan with it. Good
I love how
news
casually
is,
she says
I
it.
think I can shunt the energy somewhere else. Okay, here we go.
I think Bellara is a really cool
The
character.
way the magic is pulsing, I've never seen this before.
The way she's like a tinkerer mage. It's giving very
almost
D&D
like it's-
artificer.
Breathing.
Why do I look like I have shimmery eyeliner on? Arana doesn't have eyeliner on.
Ogre! That's an ogre!
Sure is. And bam. And bam. And 1, 2, 3. Let's go. We're good. We're fine. Let's go, ladies. Oh, I could use my ult. We're almost done. So we will not be using our ultimate ability on this ogre, but we could. Ooh, ouch. We're fine. We're almost fine. I'm not using my ult. I'll just heal real quick. It's like one staff attack.
Well, wasn't expecting to fight an ogre today. Then again, I also didn't expect to learn that my gods are rampaging around and trying to end the world. Just one of those days.
I love her. Just one of those days.
Okay,
End of the world. Just one of those days.
let's see. Okay. There we go.
Ooh.
No. That's good. I think. Oh.
Ooh, what does that crystal do?
Keeps the artifact powered. Focuses the ambient magical energy. That's why these things still work, thousands of years later.
So cool.
Oh, no, you don't.
I love like all the power that she's like, yeah, I could just destroy all of our Lathan. Oh, we dropped it. It's fine.
Sulanan, Vir Sulevanan, and Nadas Dirthalen.
Well then.
I am the Nadas Dirthalen.
Right, I have questions.
I am the Nadas Dirthalen.
You got clasped on his shirt like in my suitcase. Where'd it go?
Where'd the spirit go? The Nadas Dirthalen, I mean.
It went back into the crystal, but the crystal's broken. Until I fix it. It's kind of my thing, fixing magical stuff.
Sure is, girly pop.
Strife and Irulan will want to know about this. And the Blight, and the Darkspawn. Let me know when you're ready to head to the Veilguard camp.
I adore Bellara. I am attempting to romance her in my current, like my rogue playthrough. I texted one of my friends when I first started playing this game that I was intending to romance Emmerich, but Bellara kept bewitching me. And said friend told me that Bellara was very, very, like, very much my type. And I lightly disagree, simply because she's very much me-coded. There's a lot of mannerisms that Bellara has that, if you knew me personally, you would be like, yeah, that's just Cass. That's just Cass. It's so fun. But she's a delight. She's like me on speed or something. I love it. But yeah. Alright. Nadas Dirthalen acquired. Let's speak to Bellara now that we're ready.
Ready to go?
Let's get out of here.
Right. Let's get moving.
Come on. I'll show you the way to the Veilguard camp.
Those ginger cookies are staring at me.
11 wounded, 16 on bed rest, and some of our most experienced fighters are still missing.
We're running out of veil jumpers. Whatever's going on out there, it's scary.
Mm-hmm.
Jahel and Milva never reported back from Demeter's crossing.
There are 100 people living in that village, or near enough. You're back, and you're alive. Good.
Sounds like things have gotten a lot worse since we left.
Darkspawn. They're showing up all over Arlathan, attacking anyone in their path.
We've evacuated 3 daily settlements already.
We ran into Darkspawn too, near the Nadas Dirthalen.
Wait, you found the Nadas Dirthalen? The archive spirit? We could ask it about the gods. Figure out their next move.
Too bad it's broken. We know enough. The Dalish are the priority. Wow, look how pretty Arana's eyes are. They're actually so gorgeous.
Archive's broken. Won't tell us anything. But that doesn't matter. Any Dalish settlements we can save, we should.
So far, we've been lucky and arrived just in time. But given how fast these darkspawn are moving, it's only a matter of time till our luck runs out.
Well, it hasn't run out yet, so let's stretch it until it breaks.
If we could predict where they'd strike next, we might get ahead of them. But so far, they've been unpredictable.
Which leaves us with what?
Demetis Crossing.
What?
Irlin and Strife. When we came in, you said you'd lost contact with Demetis Crossing. We could go check it out. The three of us, I mean.
You mean 4? You're not leaving me behind.
You were just wounded. We can...
You'll have to tie me up to keep me here.
I don't know what you're going to find there, Rook. Likely nothing good.
No.
But you'd be saving people. And it might get you on the trail of the gods.
Demetis Crossing's on the far side of the lake. There's a small boat at the docks. It'll take you there. Try not to die, or make things worse.
Thanks,
and Rook,
Strife.
Yeah?
watch your back.
Thanks, Dad. I roll. Alright. Well, I think... Oh, let's read. Yes. Quest complete. In Entropy's grasp. With the team's help, Bellara disabled the artifact and freed them from the Veil Bubble. She also uncovered an ancient repository of elven knowledge, the Nadas Dirthalen. While Bellara intends to unlock its secrets, she has joined the team as they search for the escaped elven gods.
Could we really be at war with
Okay,
our own...
we'll need a boat to get there. Let's head to the dock.
We aren't prepared.
Alright. I think we're going to leave ourselves here in the Veil Jumper camp. And we will go figure out what's going on in Demetis Crossing next time. Thanks for joining us here on Dragon Age, the Veilguard. See you next time. Bye-bye.